Syrian conflict, and more specifically, the US policy, US strategy as to what it's going to do next regarding Syria. We can speak to Rami, who's director of the Issam Fares Institute for Public Policy at the American University of Beirut. He joins us from there now via Skype. Thank you very much. So it's a bit of a mixed signals that we've been getting over the past week from the US administration. Furthermore, we've had quite an escalation, haven't we, in rhetoric coming from Russia and its allies with regard to Syria. Is this all just sort of verbal bluster, or do you really sense that tension is increasing?
Well, just to correct you, I'm not director of the Issam Fares Institute anymore. I'm now a senior fellow. But this is how negotiations start. They start in public, they start in the media, in official statements. And what we're seeing now is a combination of verbal dueling. You see people moving military hardware on the ground and in the seas. And then they're going to meet in a few days. They'll meet today in Italy, the G7, and then Tillerson will go to Moscow. And this is a part of the process of negotiating with a strong enemy. For both of them, they're negotiating with a party that is at least a foe to them, and not necessarily a close ally. And I think we should expect this to go on. The new thing is the uncertainty of the American policies. There's a lack of clarity on some aspects of the U.S. policy in Syria and other places, but this will probably sort itself out in the coming month or two.
Well, so far, Mr. Tillerson and indeed Donald Trump himself, they've been framing their change of heart with regard to direct military action in Syria in terms of human rights and breaches of humanitarian law. Do you think that that is the rationale going forward, or do you think that there is actually more pressure on the Americans to continue with direct military intervention in Syria?
Well, the humanitarian angle of America's concern is not very convincing to most of the world. The Americans are responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people in the Middle East in the last 20 years, and continue to kill civilians, often 100 at a time, with their airstrikes. So it's really the American domestic audience that is mostly the target for the talk of human rights and humanitarian law and things of that nature. And then the U.S. is still providing arms to countries at war in Yemen and other places. So I think we have to take that with a grain of salt. This is power politics. It's great power politics. There's a lot at stake. And you have an office in the White House. The American president is not clear about what is really his top priority in Syria, and he's still trying to figure out what is going to be his policy with Russia. So this fluidity that we see is partly a normal situation for any two powers that are negotiating, and it's particularly exacerbated by the nature of the leadership in the United States.
All right, Rami, thank you.